Okay, 2023 is finally here. I'm over my annual illness of the year. What's first up on the docket? Tenso Sentai Goseiger. Like the basics for the start of the year. It's not bad. Hello there. Welcome to the first Toku Ramblings of 2023. After I gotten over what now appears to be my annual early season illness. And we begin the year with, the beginning of an era for Sentai with Tenso Sentai Goseiger. So, I guess I should get this out of the way initially. I think this show is good. It's not going to blow people away. It is a perfect definition of a season that is back to basics, but unlike I'd say Curator, which also was sort of a back to basics kind of season, it does some things decently, but I wouldn't say anything particularly out of, anything is blown in the water. So, the basic synopsis of the story is that angels live amongst humans. Specifically, the Gosei angels from the Gosei world have been protecting the planet with their Gosei power. Which you ever notice that sometimes whenever there's God, they're all this God is weirdly vain since so much of the stuff that the Goseigers end up using has his name in it. I mean, it's in the title. Their big robo for the season is named Goseiger. Right, Goseiger. And are we sure this guy isn't Yahweh or something? Anyway, this protection is put in danger when an army of aliens known as the War Star invade and destroy the angel's connection to the human. Well, the Tower of Heaven. And Dope seems lost because I'm just guessing other Sentais were not available to deal with this issue at the time. I might have been busy with something, their own stuff. But a group of rookie angels were still on Earth as the tower fell, and now they're the only group capable of standing against the War Star. There is the Skyak tribe childhood friends of Alata and Eri, Landic tribe siblings Augury and Monet, and finally the Soul Seek tribe representative Hyde, and helping help. They're given a place to stay by the the Amaki family, including the extremely young but extremely serious child Nozomu, and his zany father. And as a Sentai of and they are also assisted by Datas, an arcade machine, because it was also promoting a card game too, since Kamen Rider's card game was apparently going out the way Datas, and they get some assistance from their God say. So, technically, the War Stars are only really the main threat for the first 16 episodes of the season. After that, they're actually defeated. They don't appear except for some remnants show up for the movie as the main villains. But after that the new threat of the season becomes the Yumanju, a pollutant-based group of monsters bent on destroying the planet through pollution, which also gives us this season's 6th Ranger saying that a literal eco-royal bent on protecting the planet from everything, including its worst enemy, man. I'm not gonna go into the whole thing because really the planet should live with us, and then they're dealt with by the 2/3 mark, and then we're introduced to our final group of villains, the Matrix Test, an empire of robots from Undead the Sea who wants to turn the entire planet into robots. Now, it's not like there is a connection between all of these groups, specifically in the form of the mad scientist, smart guy, the group Beretta. Ron and his foot soldiers are bees who just weirdly keep popping up because he's initially He remembered the War Stars, but it's revealed that he was secretly a Yumanji the entire time, and then he's taken over by the Matrintis' emperor. We're to work for him, and then the spoiler stuff at the end, which we'll get to. Plot-wise, it's fairly basic Sentai type fare, which makes sense. It was the beginning of a new decade. Okay, and this was just before the big anniversary. So I'm not trying to do anything too crazy. See, made sense, but at the same time, it doesn't really do much with its whole angelic motif. I mean, at times I kind of forgot that, they were angels. They could have just been 5 random people gifted with the power. And I don't really think it would have mattered too much. And it is kind of a shame because this is Geki Ranger's head writer, Michiko Yato. Okay, it's clear that she was wanting to do something really interesting with the changing villain factions, but I'll get to that. So, the main cast is fine. They're not. They all fit into the standard archetypes. Alata's your happy-go-lucky, extremely emotional leader who's always thinking on the positive side and never wanting to get. And it does get grating at with the whole positivity thing, and I sort of get the feeling that they were wanting to give the main 3 guys focus per each arc, depending on the monster, because the War Stars are clearly meant to be the anti-Skyak tribe, the Yumanji, the anti-Earthlandic tribe, and Matrintis, the Sea tribe, since they come from air, land, and sea. So he gets the big focus with the War Stars, enforcer there. But after that, his focus is not as prominent since his big rivalry was dealt with in the first arc, and we have to give the focus to others for their main rivalry for the. Then, I did sort of like the episode where they were trying to figure out who would be the best leader for them, even though they just go through one another, and then they just realize that they were perfectly fine the way they. I also liked the one where he went to the past and how they get the group together. Since this was before they kind of came together and they were all kind of at odds with each other. He's not bad, but he's not the worst. And sounds like one character that kind of goes for the majority of the ghosts. There's nothing standing about him, and Aries, the standard girly girl of the group, who proves the heart of the. She does get which means she gets the befriending the monster episode. So the season, which turns out to be but weirdly, they give her the trait of, despite being the more feminine of the 2 girls of the shows, she's the messier of them. She's, again, fine. She fits her role decently, like the one where she has to cook and it's a whole thing. Weirdly, it's the girls who get a lot of the shared focus episodes of the series, especially Moni. She's the least developed, and not just because she cheerleading one with her mother. I think, off the top of my head, she only gets really 2 episodes specifically for her. One during the War Star arc detailing her trying to cheer up this one girl through cheerleading, and then another one which shows some parental things, which is nice to learn about the families, but she's the bully of the group, and I really struggle to remember her, especially compared to her brother, who doesn't really move beyond being the boisterous big guy of the group, and I think that my knowledge is so far. No, I don't really think. Yeah, because second in command stuff. Maybe he gets. Hang on, I need to check. Okay, this team really didn't have a second in command, so I don't have it. I did really like the episode where he thinks everyone's kind of talking badly about him behind his back, and he sort of kind of shuts down since people don't think stuff of. But he is very boisterous, big guy. Does the like he does not change much regarding that kind of archetype that he specifically fits into, and that's sort of the big issue I kind of have with this, and it's more glaring since this does come from the person who wrote Deki Ranger. Everyone mostly fits into their specific archetype for the season. They don't grow too much out of it outside of some small character changes. A lot does the standard rookie red here, bro. The girls are both girly girl and tomboy, and Augury is the big bruiser who sort of gets a rivalry akin to with the Kong one. I'm not gonna remember some of these names. The one that really stands out this season is probably Hyde. I feel his focus episodes are the best since it has him challenging his own perceptions. As early as the second episode, when he more or less, wanting to get back to Goseiger, when I'm reconnect. That at the end he chooses to help them. I like the more interesting dynamic and backstory with him, since his partner dies during the War Star's initial invasion. And so that leads to a lot of dynamics about protecting this planet for him and stepping up in regard to him. I also feel like his cooler nature helps to set him apart from the kind of the energy the others this season give off. And there's a lot of his focus episodes I do like. The one like with Data's, and treating him like a person is one of them. Even some of the shared ones he gets are also really solid. Like the laughing one is weird. But yeah, that's the main 5. Of course, we have a 6 Ranger who is weird. Because you look at him and you think, sick, like extra ally. Like that they would sort of do, like for Ninja Man or Signal Man or Rio and Mel. Like our previously should pick. But he is the 6th hero of the season, and a big problem with him is we get a lot of backstory with him regarding what he is, and he ends up being a key point near the final regarding who he is. But the issue with him is that his actions with the Goseiger is just as a sort of stand-in mentor figure. He gets no real characterization outside the standard become more human person thing most robots go through. And more often than not, he just shows up as sort of a deus ex machina to help with the situation. And his early stints of trying to destroy humanity too gives off that Captain Planet that decided to just start killing people to end the pollution crisis. This thing is annoying. It's I kind of wish they tried to let's beat in that humanity also exists on this planet. We have to sort of, exist alongside it. But after like a few episodes, he's basically working with them. Dozomu is fine as far as child actors go now. Honestly, he could have been a lot worse than he is, but he's mostly fine. He feels like he's there to balance out a lot of the insects, including his own father. And look, if you're not a fan of the comedy relief of that zany, kooky dad, then this is not more or less gonna work for you. Especially since the whole bumbling, that stuff. Data says, okay, I think my biggest issue with him is the voice. It's grating after a bit, and the design. I'm just guessing someone took a look at the last two Metal Hero series and thought to themselves, yeah, let's do that. And then Master Header exists. He gives good information and stuff. And I like that he basically disappears in the plot mostly during the third arc to push the Goseigers further than they are. But he is fine. He's standard mentor. Again, that just goes for this entire season. It is very fun, and that sort of goes into our first villain group, Warstar, led by Moth Drake, Daraputa, and Berator. Another con. If you have an idea of Japanese language, then you've probably guessed the naming scheme for this series. A whole lot of sci-fi monster movie robot stuff. I mean, as villains, they're probably the most threatening of the three, since they actually did gain the major victory of cutting the Rangers off from their home, but they're just kind of forgettable. I mean, I do like Mob Drake's notably calmer leader. No stuff going with it, never showing much anger and outright showing respect for the many soldiers that die, but he's just bland. He has no real personality, and that goes for Daraputa too. He's Alita's main rival, and there's some good fights, including the climax of the arc, and it just showed all of his early growth as a fighter. And I like when Alita tries to do the thing that he beat him with initially, and he more or less overcomes that. That is really interesting. But he's just standard enforcer, which wouldn't be bad, but they're gone by the 16th episode. Besides some mentions, they don't matter to this plot at all. And then there's Berator, Ron, who people have seen the series know where we're going with this, so we'll move on to the Yumanju, who are probably the worst villains of the show. And probably some of my... But the Yumanju just feels so been there, done that. Especially since only 2 years ago, we had other villains doing the whole pollute the planet to take it over thing, and really, I think by this point, the whole humans suck for how they treat the planet stuff was old by this point. And neither Makuin or Kingon do much to differentiate themselves from their Warstar counterparts. I mean, Makuin is a lot more jovial about things, and Kingon is definitely dumber than Daraputa. But I draw the line at how they were somehow able to pull one over Berator. A guy who is able to think so far ahead, which we will get into, and they're able to do it. But this doesn't feel earned. This feels like the Mangatsu twist of oh, we're super dumb. There's no way anyone would let us believe we were capable of anything except psych. We totally know what we're doing, and it's again so late into the arc. It doesn't really, because they're gone in a few episodes. Arguably, this is the worst portion of the series. There's nothing much interesting about the Yumanju Order plans that hasn't been seen or done previously. And besides some interesting things like the final episode, so it's meh. I'd say of all three groups, besides the last one, the Matrintas are probably my favorite, but that's mostly because I feel like they do a much better job of differentiating themselves from the previous two villains. Robogaga's a lot colder, meaner. He treats everything with disdain for failing. He's a much more hateable antagonist as compared to the previous. I like Menelaus has abused this. I feel like Menelaus is the most developed of the villains that isn't Buri. Right, since she comes the closest to understanding human emotions throughout it. Despite that, they are at most average. Personalities are still lacking in any of them, and since there are a lot of robots, there isn't much to do regarding person. Menelaus probably is the best, most interesting one, not named Barateron or Rhaegira, who, quite frankly, takes the cake in terms of Goseiger. He is the best thing about this conniving, deranged, sociopath who plays one of the longest games to fulfill his plan. The revelation of him being the main antagonist is the masterstroke the entire series was building to. You can just see the small glimpses of his growth, his ability to just become whatever is needed, and yes, his whole becoming a robotic slave thing, and just so happily regaining his memory at the right time screams a little Gatsu kind of. But the best parts of Goseiger are whenever he is on screen. And watching this entire plan play out is just incredible. It's the best part of this show and really helps the push, in my opinion. I'm sort of mixed on Goseiger's aesthetics. I think the suits are half good. The regal design of the chest and the use of gold is really right. I think the helmets might be might be a little bit too big for my liking when compared to the rest of the suit. And the way of showing the animal could have been done a bit better besides just being on the side. I just feel like it's half finished because the entire lower half is just white. I get the angel motif, but it just feels like nothing is going on the bottom. Half, like they didn't have time to finish. It's more an underdesign issue for me than anything else. I do think Goseiger is probably the best looking suit. The balance of black and silver, the much more armored design denotes the knight and the name, and how it morphs from ranger form into Zord form works really well. Speaking of this Zords. I was a little confused regarding the whole header motif for because technically the Zords attach their things to objects, which and then I think copies them. Yeah, I think so. They wouldn't do some that to create the Zords, and honestly, I really do like the overall Zord design of the season. Like the header design is clearly meant because you can see like even on the main Zord like places where the headers are supposed to go. But you know what? I really, really love this main mech design. It is perfectly balanced. It's like, yes, blue. Like the others not named red only make up of appendages, but it's nicely balanced. The flame sword is legitimately cool. And I do like almost all of the auxiliary forms. Like the big one I do like is the sea combination, which gets the pirate red hat. That is legitimately cool and stuff. The other Zord designs are fine. Goseiger would gain similar planes if it weren't for its itty bitty head that's round top. That looks like it was meant to be for a smaller mecha. It just kind of takes away from the whole thing because it's like there is such a solid colored design. Here it looks really good. Datus gets a cooler looking, deeper voiced form. Really not helping the Metal Hero comparison. Their final kind of ultimate mech looks good too. The whole twin sword becoming the bow thing is kind of neat and nifty. I kind of feel the weapons this season are, besides like the sword and the axe and maybe the bowgun. Like the sword, axe, and the bowgun I think look fun. Alright, the big weapon I have an issue with is like the claw. I'm never fond of one ever. It's just like whenever we get fist weapons, it's only a singular one. It just feels incomplete. I know it's meant for like the big combination weapon that they end up using, but it's just meh. Oh yeah, hyper. The Super Goseiger form is gaudy, and I'm not fond of the big gold chest piece they all get, and the gumball sword just is not one of the interesting things. Knight's like Vulcan cannon kind of gun thing is legitimately cool. And I like the finisher is just a whole lot of Daka. That's nice. The theme song. It is. No wait, hang on. I think the Morpher is fine. I mean, it's unique amongst changers, but it's mostly just window dressing for the cards. They're meh, in my opinion. I think more or less there have been better looking cards used for Toei's Tokusatsu stuff. Like Ryuki's definitely beat these out. And from what I've seen of Blade, I do like how Blade's cards look. Look. Again, I do like the multi-use of the header since they can also be used with the main blasters that they all have. The big issue with them I do sort of have is like they're really snapshotted like really quickly because we get almost all of them in the first story. Argon and very sporadically after that. I think that's sort of the big issue. I kind of wish this was more spaced out a little better, kind of like with Ninja in regards to making it so that not everything is just like immediately spat out at us immediately. But yeah, getting back to one thing, like the main theme is glorious. It is legitimately one of the best themes I think Sentai has ever done. It is majestic. It is a great piece of rock. It is. It makes the show. Even the most mediocre or meh episode is almost saved by this. Almost. But yeah, this is the perfect example of like a series going back to basics. But I think that's also its biggest weakness, cause it doesn't really try to do anything like truly stand out besides like Berater. And it definitely doesn't stand out as much because 10 years later, another kind of back to basics season, Kira Major, would come out, and it blows this season out of the water completely. If you're wanting like a great starter season for Sentai, like Kira Major is something I would recommend since it is very much the pure definition of back to basics. But it's so well done and does play on specific things that I think it really works out. Goseiger is fine. It has some moments of brilliance, but it plays it way too safe. Safe to be extremely interesting. I don't think it's as bad as bland as everyone said it was when it initially was airing, but it's definitely not one I would immediately like say, hey, yeah, you should go. I would recommend it if you want something that's kind of closer to like 2000s or 90s Sentai. But yeah. As always, we'll check out the movies next time and do the usual things to keep in the YouTube algorithms, and we'll see you around.